What is going on, guys? Gene here, and here are for you today another video. This time revolving around the new set that has been revealed a couple days ago, Verdant Conflict. I'm sorry that I couldn't get this out as soon as possible, but we have a lot more cards than initially revealed, so we have a lot more to talk about. First off, we have Bomb Barrage, which just is a reprint of a card we had before. 1 mana bronze spell for Forestcraft, return ally follower or amulet to your hand, then deal 3 damage to enemy follower. There must be a target on both sides to be able to use this. Great card for the new Roach deck because it's another way to bounce them back to your hand, which the deck lacked. And just a very good card in general. Spear Elf, Forestcraft, 4 mana 2/3 silver follower. Has Storm, and has last words, deal 2 damage to enemy leader. Just a very good aggressive card for any aggro style Forestcraft decks. Next we have Earth Elementalist, 2 mana 2/2 bronze runecraft Necro follower. Fanfare, you put one of the great trees into your hand, and if you have 20 cards or less in your deck, gains +2/+2. Now, what is the Naturan Great Tree and the Natura trait? Well, the Natura trait is a new trait shown off in this new set, Verdant Conflict, and is what it'll be mainly revolving around. Just like how Steel Baileyon had Machina, this set has Natura as a trait. And a lot of them have to revolve around this one amulet, this 1 mana bronze neutral amulet, Naturan Great Tree. Its effect is Fanfare, if any other allied great trees are in play, destroy one, and Fanfare, and last words, you draw a card. So basically it helps you cycle through if you have a bunch of trees in your hand. But yeah, that's what the main mechanic of this set is going to be. So hopefully every class will get their own way to use the Natura trait, just like how Machina did. But so as this card is right now, it's very good. It gives you the tree into your hand, helps you a way to get more trees, and if you have 20 cards or less, which you should be if you're in runecraft, basic first of all, and also you're cycling through a bunch of great trees, a 2 mana 4/4 is pretty good. Not evolved. Next we have Elemental Aether, a 1 mana silver spell that is also not your trait for runecraft. Put a great tree into your hand. If this is your 5th turn or later, recover 1 play point, and if it's your 10th turn or later, deal 2 damage to a random enemy follower and 2 damage to enemy leader. You're gonna see a few of these cards because there's a cycle of them for every class. And they're basically going to do the same thing. Well, they're going to be a 1 mana silver spell that puts a great tree into your hand. 5th turn later, recover a play point. And if it's your 10th turn later, it'll do an effect based on the class it's in. So if it's runecraft, it's just dealing burn damage. Next we have Ghostly Spirit, 3 mana 3/3 for Shadowcraft, bronze, Fanfare enhanced 6, gain +2/+2 in Bane, and give another ally follower Bane, which is just a very good value card. Still, it's probably just going to be a take 2 card. Gilt Exists Sword, Shadowcraft, 8 mana 6/8 silver follower, accelerate 1, destroy an allied follower, draw 2 cards, and has rush. So basically this is a soul conversion for an accelerate 1, and if not, it's just a big body that has rush. So it helps you trade into a bunch of cards very favorably. Next we have Raining Tiger, Swordcraft Commander, Legendary, 7 mana 4/4. Accelerate 4, you summon a Steel Cut Knight, a Heavy Knight, and a Knight, which is the 2/2, the 1/2, and the 1/1. And itself has Storm and Fanfare. If 10 or more allied followers have been destroyed during this match, give an allied follower +2/+2 and Storm. This works well with Blazing Lying Admiral because it also has the sort of same effect where you want allied followers have been destroyed during the match to give a buff. Sadly, since Lotham is leaving, this card is harder but still very easy to pull off, mainly with like the Machina synergy, because it only cares about regular followers, not like knights or stuff like that. So yeah, probably will be played in the Machina decks, especially with the Machina payoff. I forgot its name at the moment, but the 7 mana 3/5 that gets smaller for every Machina destroyed. You comp it off with this on turn 7 and do a bunch damage to face. Next we have Berserk Aether, the Aether spell for Bloodcraft, 1 mana silver spell on Natura. Same effect, Great Tree, 5th turn later, recover play point, but if it's 10th turn later, deal 3 damage to enemy leader and restore 3 defense to your leader. A lot of burn, a lot of heal. It's just like Bloodcraft. Next we have NS Cloudy Maiden, 3 mana 2/2 silver portal follower. Can't be attacked, and whenever resonance becomes active for you, you deal 1 damage to all enemies. So very good if you have ways to just cycle through your deck, because you can just get resonance that be active for you a bunch of times and just keep dealing 1 damage to all enemies. It also deals to your opponent's face, which is very relevant. I would like to see what this card will do later in the future. Next we have Shadowcraft Gold Follower, Helio Factory Lich, 3 mana 2/1. Fanfare in hand 7. Evolve this follower. Last words, give your the following effect. At the end of your opponent's turn, summon a zombie. And last words, give your the following effect. At the end of your opponent's next turn, summon a Lich. So if it's evolved, it gains +1/+1, but instead of giving you a zombie if it dies, it gives you a Lich, which is a 4/4 instead of a 2/2, which is pretty good. Next we have the Havencraft Aether card, Justice Aether. Still a great tree, recover play point, but it's your 10th turn later, restore 5 defense to all allies, so which is very good for Alana, and just very good in general, because restoring 5 defense to yourself is also pretty insane for 0 mana. Next we have Whily Hydra Shaman, Runecraft Natural card, 9 mana 1/6, has Storm. Invocation, at the start of your turn, if X is at least 7, put this card from your deck into play, and whenever this follower comes into play, gain +X+O, where X equals the number of allied great trees you've played this match. So if you have ways just to get a bunch of trees out, you cycle through them, and then she just comes out right on 7, and since it doesn't gain attack on Fanfare, it gains it when it just comes into play, it will still trigger that effect. So if at least 7, she's coming with 8 Storm. If you get it before 9, actually, if you do it on turn 9, by then it should come as an 8/6, and if you have another one in hand, that's another 8/6 with Storm and just 16 face. It's just very good. And I don't know if I said the class, but Runecraft, not Portal. I think I said Portal. My bad. And she's just very good. Next we have Necromantic Aether, the Shadowcraft Aether card. Great tree, recover the play point, but if it's your 10th layer, reanimate 4, which is pretty good because there's a lot of 4-drops you want to bring back. And a lot of 4-drops is good value. Like, even if you bring back something like Alana, she's still a 4/4 body for basically 0 mana if it's 10th or later, which is pretty good. Next we have Sweet Tooth Sleuth, 2 mana 1/3, Fanfare, put an investigation to your hand, it's a neutral follower. Investigation is the 2 mana bronze spell that when you can hand 6 to draw 3 instead, which is decent. I like that they're doing a lot of these neutral cards that just adds an older card or card that's not even used anymore into your hand, so it gives a little bit more use out of it. Next we have Dragon Chef Dragoncraft, 3 mana 3/3 bronze follower. Fanfare, restore 1 defense to your leader. If an allied amulet is in play, restore 3 defense instead. Dragon doesn't have that many amulets that they do play, but if they do get something like nature support, then you can trigger the second effect instead. But it's nice that Dragon's getting healed, because it had trouble healing back its health, unlike it did back in the day with like Ouroboros or Dragonic Fervor. Next we have Priest of Excess, 6 mana 5/5 bronze follower for Haven. It has Crystallize 2, which is a new mechanic in here, just like the natural trait is. Crystallize 2 is basically like Accelerate, you pay for a cheaper cost, and it will come in as an amulet, and it'll show you the countdown, how long it'll take for it to leave, and then it'll show you the effect of what the amulet has written down here. Which in this case, for 2 mana, you could make it go into as an amulet, and then count down 1. Last words, you banish a random follower. The effect is actually pretty good for a 2 mana amulet, and its other effect is when it still has a 6/5 body, you could just banish a random follower when it dies. For its playing it as a creature, it's still pretty good because it's 6 mana 5/5 and it dies, you just get rid of a creature. But as an amulet, it's pretty good as well because again, it's a very cheap way to answer like Leod, because you just play it and then they try to buff up their Leod as much as possible. And then since once they go set first and play Leod on 2, you can play this on 2 and it also just gets rid of their Leod unless they play another follower. But if they play another follower, that means that's a turn they're not buffing their Leod, which is pretty good. Next we have Dragon Newt Needler, 5 mana 4/5 Dragoncraft Bronze follower. Fanfare, select an enemy follower and deal 3 damage if it is already damaged, but if it has not been damaged, deal 1 damage instead. Just a fine card. The card reminds me most of is, I think it was called Siegfried, the 4 mana 3/3 silver follower for Dragon a while ago, but that card destroyed an enemy follower if it was damaged. This one just deals 3 damage. So, very underwhelming, because 3 damage sometimes doesn't really kill any follower, even if it is damaged. And just dealing 1 is alright, but not that great. So yeah, mainly take 2 card. Next Traveler's Respite. 2 mana bronze, neutral spell. It's a Natura card. Restore 2 defense to your leader, then put a great tree into your hand, change cost to 0. Might see play because this is a way to just add a great tree into your hand for every class, but the effect is pretty mediocre. Just restoring 2 defense to your leader is just But if you think about it in a way, if you have a tree on board, it's basically 2 mana, restore 2 defense to your leader, draw a card, and raise your great tree count up by 1, which is good in that sense, but still pretty mediocre. Next we have Great Sword Sister, 5 mana 3/5 bronze Haven follower. Fanfare, you put a random amulet from your deck into your hand, and on Evo as Bane. This card might see play because I remember once we played Uriel in Haven just to get a random amulet out of your deck. It was a 4 mana 3/3. This is a 5 mana 3/5. It's 1 mana more, but on Evo it gains Bane, which is pretty good, especially with the more health. Bane helps you trade into multiple minions, and just a random amulet from your deck is still pretty good, especially if you just play 1 amulet. It just gets the 1 amulet you need. Next we have Lubell, Necro Family, 5 mana 3/5 Shadow legendary follower, which is also a Natura follower. Fanfare, you put a great tree into your hand, then you summon a Necro Fauna, and whenever an ally tree is destroyed, you summon a Necro Fauna. Necro Fauna is a token card she makes, 3 mana 2/1, has Rush, and last words, randomly activate one of the following. You put a great tree into your hand, give +1/+1 to a random ally follower, or deal 1 damage to a random enemy follower. All those cards are very good value for what it does. Basically, helps you trade into a bunch of stuff. If you get a tree into your hand, you could play it, and then you get another Necro Fauna, buffing up your Lubell by its other effect is also very good. And also, since you're also getting a great tree into your hand, you get another Necro Fauna. It also means you also draw a card, which is pretty insane. This is probably what's going to be the main card that'll help piece together Shadow Natura. Next we have Featherfolk Punisher, 2 mana 2/2 silver Havencraft Natura follower. Whenever an ally amulet comes into play, deal 1 damage to enemy leader. Whenever an ally great tree comes into play, deal 1 damage to enemy follower. From what I'm reading, a great tree could possibly trigger both effects, since great tree is also an amulet, so I believe it'll trigger both effects, which means this card, if you help when you have a lot of trees in your hand, cycle through them, it will just deal a bunch of damage to your opponent's face. It's a nice way to clear out the game. If it doesn't work like that, I think it'll just be a little bit worse, because the best cheap amulet you could play in Havencraft will probably be the great trees, and if it just deals 1 to an enemy follower, it's still good, but it's not as great as it could be. Next, Mirror Image, 2 mana bronze spell for Swordcraft. Choose an ally follower in play and summon a copy of it. Give a rush and banish at the start of your next turn. What I'm scared about this is if you have a strong Storm follower, you just mirror image it 3 times, get 3 Storm followers, and then just all go face. Like, you can just do it on Albert, and especially since Albert gets a buff when there's another 11 card on the board, you just play this, get another Albert, they just get buffed by each attack. And if you have 4 of them, that means it'll be 16 damage, roughly. Yeah, it's pretty nuts card. It's gonna see a lot of decks that play this as a combo finisher. Next we have Baileyon Sovereign Light, Swordcraft Natura legendary follower, 4 mana 4/4. Has Ward. Fanfare, give your leader the following effect. Whenever your play points are restored through a card effect for the first time on each of your turns, put a King's Might into your hand. And on Evo, it gains you 1 play point. This is a weird type of effect, especially for Swordcraft, because Swordcraft doesn't have that many ways to recover play points outside of what I can think of is the 11 card you get off the Sisters spell, the gold spell, that restores 2 play points, but if you have 11 card, you restore 3 instead. That's the only card I can remember that can synergize well with Baileyon. But you'll get a King's Might, which is a 1 mana spell, give +1/+0 to an ally follower, but there's a great tree in play, +2/+1. So if you want to play a deck that has Baileyon, you're probably gonna mix around Natura and the 11 package. 11 package is very small because you just need like Albert, the spell, and maybe the 2-drop that help evos your 11s for free. So yeah, that might be a viable deck coming into this new expansion. Next we have Aldane Cursed Shadow, 4 mana 4/4 Dragoncraft Natura follower. Fanfare, put a Shadow Corrosion into your hand, Bane on Evo, and when you also evolve it, you reduce the cost of all Shadow Corrosions in your hand by 2. Shadow Corrosion is a 4 mana spell. You give your leader the following effect: at the end of your turn, deal X damage to enemy leader. X equals the number of allied great trees that have been destroyed during this match. If you played another Shadow Corrosion this match, you randomly destroy an enemy follower. This is the first time you see a card that gives a little effect to your leader, but also has a second effect that if your leader already has this effect, it does something else instead, so it makes it not dead if you get another Shadow Corrosion. But this effect is also pretty insane because it keeps scaling up the more great trees you get. But as we've seen right now, Dragon doesn't have that many ways to get great trees, but that'll change once more cards get revealed. But if you just destroy one, it'll just deal 1 damage every turn. Dragon has a lot of ways to stall, has heals with the new Dragon Chef, and just has a lot of big stuff. You just keep stalling out, dealing 1 every turn, and then you play another great tree, just deal 2 every turn, and it'll just keep scaling up for every tree you play, which is, the card is just bonkers. Next you have Lida, the Stoneclaw, 5 mana 4/4 Forest Natura follower. Legendary. Fanfare, if you have at least 2 fairies in your hand, deal 4 damage to enemy follower. Fanfare, if an ally great trees in play, gain the ability to evolve for 0 evolution points. And on Evo, you get a Send 'em Packing into your hand. Send 'em Packing is a 4 mana legendary spell. You randomly remove all effects of one of the strongest enemy followers in play, except it's changed to attack and defense, then destroy that follower. And then you add 2 to the number of cards played this turn. Adding 2 to the number of cards played this turn is pretty irrelevant for rotation forest right now, to my knowledge. But the effect for 4 mana, just removing the effects of the strongest enemy follower and as well as destroying it, is pretty good. Again, it gives forest a way for non-target removal. You get rid of, again, Leod is a big thing that I get rid of because they keep buffing up Leod, and then you just remove it for free. Also, Lidica's other effect, where if you have at least 2 fairies in your hand, deal 4 damage to the follower, is great value because forest decks have a lot of ways to just get fairies in your hand very easily. So 5 mana 4, deal 4 on play is amazing. And as well as if you have a great tree, evolve for 0 is another great effect. This card is just great value in just 1 card. And it'll make me very happy to play Forestcraft again. Next we have the Aether spell for Forestcraft. Fertile Aether, again, great tree. 5th turn later, recover play point, but if it's 10th turn later, draw 2 cards. So if it's a 10th turn later, you can just draw 2 cards for 0 mana, which is pretty good. Next we have Whily Puck. 4 mana 3/4 bronze Forestcraft follower. It has Crystallize as well, but countdown 3, and that effect is while it's an amulet, at the end of your turn, put a fairy into your hand. Just keep getting fairies in your hand, but if you don't, you can play as a 4 mana 3/4, and you get 2 fairies in your hand on Fanfare, which is also pretty good. Yeah, it's more or less a take 2 card, because there's a lot of other ways you can generate fairies into your hand, much more better than just Whily Puck. And lastly, we have Desert Pathfinder, 2 mana 2/2 gold neutral Natura follower. Last words: if there's no great trees in play, you summon a great tree, and on evolve, you put a great tree into your hand. This card is probably going to be stable in every Natura deck because it just generates trees for you easily. If you play it on 2, dies, you get a great tree. If you evolve it, you get a great tree. Just a lot of value in just this 1 card for those decks, especially for decks like Dragoncraft with the new Shadow Corrosion card. Yep, that's pretty much it for the card review for Verdant Conflict. as of September 9th. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Down below, please tell me any cards you're hoping to see in this set, any more support for any of your favorite archetypes, or what deck you want to see when this set comes out, because I'm probably going to do a lot of them, especially with like the story prevalent cards like Lida, Verdant, and probably not Baileyon. I'm not impressed with his effect as much, but these two are like pretty good cards. And probably Lubell. I don't know, all these cards are pretty exciting for me because I like when a new trait comes out, because that means there's going to be a new style, a way to play every class, which is pretty exciting to me. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Gene, out.